Hello and welcome to the Battle of Cigny from our fictitious 1815 campaign, if I can manage to say it properly. We are playing today. The Prussians, please excuse the fact that that is a Russian unit, but the Prussians are set up in defence of Cigny, as you can see. Cigny, for those who don't know, is near the Ardennes. The French are obviously driving on Liège. So here are the plucky Prussians in defence of Cigny, and appearing over the horizon are the French. I'll just show you the Prussian reinforcements, which will start to appear at the start of the game. The Orbats are generated by the campaign system. We're using a board game called Napoleon, I believe it is. Just let me check. It is indeed called Napoleon. It's a relatively straightforward board game based on the 1815 campaign. Let me flick some more lights on. So over here we have the French Lancers. Martin's troops all deployed, ready for action. This is his latest unit, which I know he's particularly pleased with. I'm sure you'll agree they're particularly well painted. And Marshal, I think he might be doubling up as Marshal Ney, French Light Cavalry. Sorry about the stream, haven't got around to making that yet. I'll just show you the Prussian positions from this side whilst I'm here. And over here, excuse the fact that there are Dutch guns. The French didn't bring enough of their own. I don't know. And the rest of the French ready for the attack. Okay, we're using General d'Armée rules, and I shall do regular updates as the battle continues. This is, as I said, this is a campaign game, so it's not a fight to the death. And the Prussians need to know when to fold. Anyway, right, updates to follow. Okay, time for a quick update. The Prussians have bravely moved themselves into canister range of those French artillery batteries. So far it's not been too bad. Over here, French are advancing, but one of their columns suffered badly from artillery fire and has had to retreat. Prussians on the hill, skirmishers have gone forward. The French columns coming on. Here in the centre, the French have been hesitant, but notwithstanding that, the Prussians have retired into Cigny in readiness for the assault. Over here, French are deploying, ready for an attack on the village, but their cavalry on this side again is hesitant. Thankfully, Luca and his children are advancing to the right of Cigny and will hopefully soon be here. All to come. Okay, and after lunch, here we are. The Prussian cavalry have been pushed back after having suffered quite a bit at the hands of Rob's guns. Ignore the fact that one of them is British. Over here, the French columns are advancing. Grand Battery has wreaked its havoc on the Prussian battery, and here the victorious French cavalry, having dispersed one Prussian battalion. Prussians still holding on to Cigny. In the centre, attack is still in its early phases, whereas over here on the right, Blucher has arrived and seems to be at the moment holding off Martin's infantry. Quick video update. Unfortunately, it's gone badly wrong for the Prussians. They failed to form square here, and the hussars have charged in. Up on the ridge used to be where the artillery battery was, which has been swept away. This unit thankfully managed to make square, bouncing off the other cavalry. We shall see what happens to this brigade. Quick update, the Prussians have gallantly held off these horrendous hussars.
Your friends, but I'll double check.
Time for a quick update. This Prussian infantry brigade is holding on by its fingernails. Prussian cavalry have come to try and see off the French cavalry, which are now on the ridge, and the French infantry are ready to launch their attack onto Cigny. Over here to the right of the village, the Prussians' reinforcements have made themselves felt. They've pushed back in fact they pushed back Martin's newly painted French light infantry, much to his annoyance. And over here, despite being unformed, the Prussians have seen off the 1st Regiment of Lancers from the French, and we'll be waiting to see what happens in the next turn. Okay, the battle is over, and here is roughly where we are. The Prussian infantry and cavalry have managed to hold this ridge. The French have just crested it. French cavalry was beaten back by the heroic Prussian lancers. The French, though, have captured Cigny not without some costs, though. Those units in it have taken casualties. Prussians are still just about holding on around Cigny, but over on the right, the Prussian lancers have driven a wedge through Martin's nicely new painted French light infantry, and over here, the French lancers have been beaten back by the Prussians. As far as the campaign is concerned, Blucher and his columns of infantry never really got in it. The French are going to hold on to Cigny, and the Prussians are going to retire to fight another day, probably with their great ally Wellington.
Oh, yes.